I'm going to bring up to the hot seat Musabbeh Kaabi, if he'll join me up here to the stage. He leads ADNOC's Low Carbon Solutions and International Growth Directorate. And first of all, I think we'd like to congratulate you and your and the UAE on really a quite remarkable COP. But thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
And I know it's not done. So Musabbeh and I have had this kind of conversation in other guises, Mubadala when you were running the energy business, now in this position. And so it's just such a pleasure. I don't know how many of the 8 you've spoken at, but I would say the great majority of them. You know, I'd like to, we want to talk about the importance of partnerships in climate technologies to decarbonize energy systems on the path to net zero. So Musabbeh is responsible for driving ADNOC's investments in new energies, low carbon solutions, as well as international growth technology and sustainability solutions. He's chairman. He's currently serves as chairman of the board of directors of Mubadala Energy and Yasat. He's also a board member of Masdar, Tabreed, ADNOC Gas Environment Agency. So like like Amos, you know, people of capability and capacity seem to wear a lot of hats. And so you have a lot you're doing. But maybe you can talk about, first of all, your decision to take on this new position. And like Amos's position, I don't think this job existed before. I think you filled it. So talk briefly about that, and then we'll talk about some of the specifics of what you're into.
Thank you, Fred, and it gives me great pleasure and honor to participate again in the Atlantic Council event. And welcome everyone to the UAE, to Dubai, and you know, it's great to have these conversations along with COP28. Yeah, I made the move earlier this year. Dr. Sultan called me and he said, I have a mission to transform, decarbonize, and future-proof ADNOC. And I would like your support to come and help me in this journey. And by the way, ADNOC and Mubadala, they share the same shareholder, so I'm moving within the family. With the blessing of all, I made the change, but let me highlight my role. In fact, ADNOC acknowledged the energy transition, the need for decarbonization, and the way we see the world is in a simplistic way. Our vision is, or our strategy is to ensure that we decarbonize the energies of today and invest in the energies of tomorrow. And I can highlight what we're doing with the decarbonizing of the energy of today and why it's important. Because when you look at the energy demand from now until 2050, under most and all scenarios, oil and gas and fossil fuel will have a contribution to add in the future. The big challenge to the industry is how do we ensure that the energies of tomorrow from hydrocarbon has the lowest carbon intensity. And in ADNOC, we have a great story to tell. We managed to drop our carbon intensity to the minimum, one of the lowest globally, at 7 kilogram per barrel equivalent. That's comparing to the 40 kilogram the industry has. So maybe some of you might ask, what does that mean? It means if the rest of the industry managed to drop their performance or improve their performance to the level that we achieved, that means 1.8 gigaton of CO2 can be avoided in the near future. And that's equivalent to the total emission of 2 key sectors, aviation and shipping. So when we talk about quick wins, pragmatic way to embrace energy transition and the climate agenda, I think that's a quick win. We're expanding in our carbon capture with 10 million ton by the 2030. We're doubling down on our renewables with our shareholding in Masdar. Masdar is active in almost 40 countries globally. Today, more than 20 gigawatt of capacity. We're building the capacity to 100 gigawatt by 2030. I have full confidence we will be able to achieve that target, but that will position Masdar as one of the leading renewable energy companies globally. So Fred, in a nutshell, our job is to decarbonize the energy of today and expand more and more and build the energies of tomorrow.
Thank you for that powerful answer. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, you said, quote, "I wish the world could run on renewables tomorrow, but the reality is not that." End quote. Could you flesh that out? What is the reality of the energy transition, and where do you think this COP28 fits in that continuum?
The reality is clear, and many people know the reality. Today, the world consumes, in terms of barrel equivalent, around more than 260 barrel of oil equivalent. 100 million from oil, 70 million equivalent from natural gas, and 80 million barrel equivalent from coal. So, and the contribution of the fossil fuel today in the energy is slightly north of 80%. And if you recall, the first time sustainable development was introduced in the global arena was in 1987, when a foreign minister of Norway introduced the concept of sustainable development. At that time, fossil fuel contributed to 86% of the total energy demand
from
globally.
86 to 80 over that period of time.
So look, from 1987
Yeah.
to 2023, we're still heavily relying on fossil fuel to feed the energy demand going forward. And by the way, we focus on the oil and gas industry, but the reality is the energy demand is keep growing. And next time any of you send an email, your email is an energy consuming habit. So an email could introduce 0.3 gram. If it's very short, if you say just thank you, 0.3 gram of CO2 equivalent to the atmosphere. If you have an attachment to your email, it could take that email to 27 grams of CO2
And then
equivalent.
add artificial intelligence to that. And
Artificial intelligence. You know, our lifestyle today is centered around energy consumption. Next time you Google, next time you watch a YouTube, it's an energy consuming habit. So I think in order to achieve all these targets by 2050, there is a collective effort. Everyone should play a role. Every carbon atom is important. So it is important that we also look at all our, lifestyles, look at our energy consumption in order to have a balanced view about the energy demand going forward. As you highlighted, artificial intelligence, we are only scratching the surface. The impact of artificial intelligence and the requirement for data centers is going to add more energy demand going forward. So I think the world is today all about energy consumption. And when you couple that with energy security, energy transition, and affordability, it is, I would say, a very challenging picture.
so from 86% in the 80s to 80% now, 20 years from now, what percentage should be the goal?
I don't have the answer,
Yeah.
of course, but when I look at the IEA, when I look all the energy transition or energy projection and outlook going forward, it's clear that we need the lowest carbon intensive fossil fuel energies of tomorrow, and that's our mandate. On top of that, we need all of the above. We need solar, we need wind, we need technologies that will enable us also to push the battery technology and the storage. So I think we need all of the above.
What is ADNOC hoping to have out of this COP28, and what is the significance for ADNOC of the COP28 president being its CEO?
Well, let me thank COP28 team. I think they've done a remarkable job in launching something very very relevant to our industry, Global Decarbonization Accelerator. And why that's very important and critical? Because for the first time, we bring many companies with more than 50% of the global production to have a clear roadmap to not only 2050, by the way, but to 2030. So to go back to Amos' earlier comment, I think we need a short-term targets, we need mid-term targets, and we need a long-term targets. So the ability to bring big players in the industry like ADNOC, Aramco, Exxon, Oxy, and others, and national oil companies like Petrobras, Petronas, under one umbrella with a clear roadmap to achieve zero methane by 2030, triple their commitment to renewables and low carbon solutions by 2030, and achieve net zero by 2050 or earlier. I think that's remarkable. If you look at the impact of these, if they, of course, I'm sure that they will deliver on these, but if you look at the impact, that to me is a quick win and something tangible to address the climate issue.
And that's the same question that I asked of Amos, which is, some are arguing it's divisive, this COP. Others are saying it's the most inclusive ever. How do you hope this COP will be remembered? And what do you think are the most important things, decisions, initiatives that have come out of it thus far?
Well, I strongly believe that it's in the interest of everyone and in the interest of the climate agenda. It's stop pointing fingers at each other and let's have an inclusive way of addressing the climate. And as I highlighted earlier, every carbon atom counts. So if carbon capture going to help us, let's do it. If hydrogen, expanding in hydrogen is going to help us address the climate, let's invest in hydrogen. If solar, let's do it. So what I mean is, let's try to approach a pragmatic way of addressing the climate. And believe me, when we all get together, we deliver. And I also always say, let's not underestimate a human innovation. When there is a challenge, we act. And I will give you a very simple example. 3 years back, we would not have been able to have a gathering like this.
Yeah.
COVID-19 was a major challenge and threat to humanity. What did we do? In a matter of less than 2 years, we got together, we managed to address the challenge and move on. I have full confidence that we will address the climate issue and we will find the right way, we will embrace the right technologies, and we will move on. So I have no doubt in my mind that inclusiveness is important, acting together to address this issue is critical, and I'm confident that we will deliver when there is a major challenge.
Musabbeh, thank you for that answer. There are a lot of business people in the audience, a lot of CEOs, senior executives. Talk to them about the strategies. You, after all, run a business, and you're trying to turn this into to projects. And so, what strategies as a business is ADNOC employing to accelerate its decarbonization efforts? And perhaps you can talk about one or two specific. You talked about the importance of collaboration. One or two specific examples of how you're doing that with the United States or other partners in terms of decarbonization plans.
Well, the strategy is clear that we set the targets. When it comes to decarbonization, we announced 25% reduction in our carbon intensity by 2030 further. And we also have a very clear carbon capture. By the way, today, we already have carbon capture projects, FID or in operation, of around 4 million ton. That position us as one of the leading traditional energy companies in terms of carbon capture. By the way, without any regulatory framework, without any incentive. So when you see in the US, for example, with the IRA, it's a great tool. If I am in the US, I would expand more and more because I have the right tools to expand. But because of ADNOC legacy and commitment to the sustainability, we are taking the right steps to ensure that our product remain the lowest carbon intensive products in the market. And we believe that is the right thing to do. So on the hydrogen, for example, we have embraced the hydrogen. We have a clear target for around 1 million ton by 2030 of low carbon hydrogen. We're electrifying our operation. And the big debate I have, by the way, Fred, with my committees in ADNOC is sometimes these practices and investments, but keep the investments aside, but these practices, they don't have the traditional IRR with them, or very low IRR. So you need to have a very deep conviction about how the market react to the product that you produce. And these are, believe me, not an easy conversation, and it will require a strong leadership in order to push these initiatives in the system. I'll share one story that I was personally involved in, is a geothermal. We announced yesterday or the day before the first successful geothermal project in the MENA region, utilizing geothermal for district cooling. And I remember the early days of discussing the concept. Some people were saying, geothermal? You gotta be kidding me? It's not gonna work. Why do you think it's gonna work? And it reminded me of the early days of Master, 2008. Mm-hmm. We were trying to push solar in the system, and at that time cost was very, very high. I remember in the 40s cents per kilowatt hour. Last project in Abu Dhabi at 1.4 cents per kilowatt hour. So massive reduction in the. So the geothermal, we managed to get it after heavy lifting, and we managed to get it through the finish line, and we are glad to prove that it's working. Today, 10% of Masdar City district cooling is coming from geothermal, renewable. And that has a huge potential because 70% of the power consumption in the summertime in this part of the world is used for air conditioning and district cooling. So a great achievement. I think to push these, to answer you, you need to have conviction, you need to have a specific view of the future, and you need to steer the course and make sure that you deliver on these initiatives. They are in a traditional business, it's going to be difficult to embrace new ways of running business.
So since you touched on IRA, which is controversial with some of our European friends, but the Inflation Reduction Act, what do you think of that, and does that actually give you more incentive to invest in the United States?
Indeed, it does, and I applaud the U.S. government for introducing the IRA. It's a great initiative enabling the ecosystem to work, and I have full confidence that with time, with efficiencies, technologies, it will become a sustainable business. Today, the reason IRA is there because there are challenges with the cost. And I've seen also the ETS in Europe. I'm seeing the Asians are embracing CFDs or contract for difference. And we are having good conversation with few players in the US. We announced collaboration with Oxy on DAC, direct air capture, or carbon capture and utilization. And I'm confident, Fred, that these initiatives, if you think about the energy transition, we will need two enablers: government policies and technology. So under the umbrella of IRA, we're in the technology side. I remain very optimistic that also with time we will see a more efficient way of producing hydrogen, of producing renewable energy, of reducing carbon or removing carbon through carbon capture. So maybe last point from my side, we launched the Decarbonization Challenge along Climate Tech in May, and unbelievable number of applications, 650 applications, startup companies from all over the world with great ideas, and we announced the winner just 2 days back. But it's great to see innovation, not only in certain parts of the world, but also from this country. We have received 2 great ideas and 2 applications. So I remain very optimistic that technology will definitely help us to address and improve these, decarbonization technologies.
Absolutely fascinating. Musabbeh, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.